Welcome to Often Pacing on Tab Radio Racing and Sport. Tim Walker will be joined by Matt Young and Oliver Cownie as they delve into the form for today's Pinjarra harness meeting, as well as an early look at tomorrow's meeting at Gloucester Park. We are Often Pacing.
It is great to have your company again on this Monday morning for Off and Pacing. Tim Walker with you. Looking forward to the next half hour or so. We've got Ollie Cownie and Matt Young standing by, ready to go. And we'll also have Michael Young this hour with a couple of exciting paces that are going to make their WA debuts over the next couple of days, including one down there today at Pinjarra. We'll review Gloucester Park Friday night. We'll get a little snapshot from the boys of a couple of horses to follow. Also some tips for the next few days. But Ollie Cownie is with us on the line. We say a very good morning to you, Ollie.
Good morning, Tim. Great to be on.
How do we find you this morning?
Yeah, really good, thanks. Obviously, a great weekend of racing, so that always makes it easy to get up on Monday morning, early in the morning, and go again.
And, yep, we'll look to tap into your wisdom and see if we can find a few horses to follow from the weekend very, very shortly, as we will Matt Young, who's with us down the line this morning. Hello to you, Matt. But in the meantime, Ollie, what we might do is let you rip into some horses to follow from Friday night. Of course, we've got plenty to work through out of it. It was a terrific night of pacing down there. And we spoke to Debbie Padberg on the Sports Daily about 45 minutes ago and just about some of her runners and her winners of late. She recently cracked the 600 win mark. And, one horse that is really taking to racing quite nicely with her is Little Happy Fella, a win and then a runner-up performance on Friday night, and that's where you're going to start with your horses to follow.
Yeah, absolutely. Her team's flying at the moment. State of Heaven was obviously a really impressive winner on Friday night, but Little Happy Fella was another one that was really good. First up, as you said, it was quite impressive. Strong tempo was on, which probably suited him quite well, but he still won nicely there, and then last night, again, he stepped right up in grade, so that was probably a little bit of a query, but the tempo was on again with Jetstar finally scoring a well-deserved win. Had been knocking on the door there, but Little Happy Fella, for a moment, you thought he might have run over the top of the winner, but there's no knock, and it was a really strong race. So Little Happy Fella stepped up nicely, and given his turn of foot, I think he can keep figuring in races where they run it to suit him.
All right, and continue on.
In the free-for-all on Friday, a horse here that's been going around for a long time now, Too Fast, Too Serious. Such a nice, speedy horse he is. And on Friday, he ended up snagging back onto the peg line, got a long, long way back there, and he was held up for a run for pretty much the entire home straight. But when he did get out, he looked to be really travelling quite nicely, and he hit the line quite hard. So I think, given his pattern, he generally goes around quite reasonable odds in these kinds of top races. So if he can get a draw, I think he can be one that can figure in the finish. And then Quinton in the feature race on Friday in the Pearl Classic, he was an outstanding effort. He got a long way back there, and the market didn't really think he was much of a hope at $71, and he flew home in the end. He ran his last quarter in about 27 seconds, and he only finished 3 metres off Wave Rider, who has been one of the benchmark 3-year-olds so far this season. So I thought Quinton was really, really impressive there, and he's a horse to follow. And I think going forward in these 3-year-old races, if there's speed on, Quinton might be the one finishing over the top.
All right, so Little Happy Fella, Too Fast, Too Serious, and Quinton for Ollie there. We have got the telephone gods playing ball now. Matt Young is with us down the line. Hello to you, Matty.
Good morning to you again, Tim, and to Ollie. Everyone tuned in, and we're up and running.
Now, you just mentioned that you wanted to touch on the 2-year-old race from Friday night as we rip into your horses to follow.
Yeah, I just wanted to congratulate the Nefranic family. They've been involved in the harness racing industry for as long as I've been around, that I can remember, and they've always tinkered around with a small group of horses, and it's just great to see them be rewarded for years of effort and persistence to be able to get one that they've gone to the sale, that they've sourced out, they've bought relatively cheap, and been able to get some good success with her and to take out a Champagne Classic, which to a lot of people in the industry is a time-honoured race, and it has been has seen some of the great 2-year-olds win over the years. So I just thought it was fantastic, and of course I'm stoked to see Trent Wheeler win another feature race, but yeah, it's just fantastic for the Nefronic family. So I just wanted to touch on that as we get into horses to follow. So well done to them, and hopefully we get to see Raynette measuring up in better fillies races, and also a potential Golden Slipper. She's got that gate speed, it's going to win her some races going forward, and the way that she settled. So looking at my 3 horses to follow from Friday night, we'll start nice and early. Captain Bligh, I know I'm not a genius in saying this is a horse to follow, but at the same time, I just like the way that he actually got around the track better on Friday night. I think, if anything, he didn't get a clear run. We know how talented he is, but at the same time, I just thought he drove straighter and he looked more tractable, which going forward is going to be a big thing for him. So I think Captain Bligh is definitely one to follow now. If you're a little bit spooked by him hanging a touch in his recent runs, then I think you can jump back on the bandwagon there. I thought Rock and Roll Elliott was really good. We'll get to see him in a trial after he broke late, but he was steaming home down the outside, and I know he's at a harder grade, but what I saw on Friday night was probably the best version of him that I've seen in a while. So you would imagine he's going to bounce off that run nicely and continue to improve, so he could go around from any draw at a silly price, and has to be included into your novelties, and I think he's come back really well. And 3 Rumours, who just backed up an outstanding run where she hit the line really well 2 starts ago. She did a power of work, a mountain of work on Friday night, and she just did not give up the chase. I thought in a race where Queen in the Corner obviously took star billing by winning the race and performing so well, I thought 3 Rumours was absolutely outstanding into 4th position. So those are the 3 to follow, and I think they're 3 good ones in my eyes.
Yeah, absolutely. And well said about the Champagne Classic as well. So you touched on it on Friday morning. Yes, wasn't able to win the gold bracelet last week, but wasn't disgraced by any stretch of the imagination, was Raynette, and got her moment in the sun there on Friday. Now, just if you can, a word Wave Rider as well, Matt, and what he was able to do in the Pearl Classic. It felt like a statement performance that we'd been waiting for.
Yeah, I think he it looked a race where the Bell Duo was going to be able to dominate, and they were able to. They got away with a little bit out in front. Franco Encore, he was able to beat Wave Rider a few starts ago, obviously, when he led and Wave Rider was 1 out, 1 back. It looked a good position on paper during the run where Wave Rider was, but he just seems to be a lot better horse when he's up on speed. So he's gutsy. He was able to get to the top, and then he was able to hold them off late. So yeah, he's a really nice horse, and he's had to do it tough his last 3 or 4 starts. So you think there'd be some respect coming his way after that win on Friday night.
Absolutely. All right, let's get stuck into our meeting today at Pinjarra. 9 events on the program, and just a little flashback to last week. So Ollie, certainly a couple there that you were knocking on the door. Noble Throndor, Billy James, both finishing second. And Matt, you were very keen on That's Not My Gate, a winner. So there's a couple of little highlights from last Monday. And what we might do is start with you, Ollie, if we can, for Pinjarra today. And you're going to the middle part of the program.
Yeah, race 4 I'm starting in. Watch Me Wave. Started her career nicely with a win over Pecunious at Pinjarra. I thought she then raced really well behind the informed Lady Violetta and Madam Publisher. They were just too good in the end, but she led last start, and I thought she was maybe a touch disappointing, although they did burn off the gate. I think this is no tougher. Back to a mile looks suitable with no back line. I thought Dylan has plenty of options in this race, whether she wants to lead or take a trail in Heart of Alia, and I think either way should be really hard to beat in the 4th race.
Continue on.
Over to race 8. We've got Cut and Run. First up, battled away behind one that Matt mentioned just before, Captain Bligh, who was awesome there, winning. Last start ran a good race, I thought, outside Rock and Roll Sass. And third up here, I think he always seems to be a horse that's better on the peg line. So He's got pretty good gate speed. I don't think he'll be too far back. I think he can be either leading or behind Blaze On, and I thought he looked a really good 1x3 bet at around that $2 a place. And then on to race 9. I've got another place bet here, Roll Your Own. Looks one of the beneficiaries of a race that looks likely to be suiting the peg line. I thought he strung a few really good, consistent performances together at Bunbury, placed behind Matty, who is racing really well as well. And then I was really impressed last start. He only could manage 4th, but worked off the gate early and then was still able to battle away and run 4th in a race that was quite peg dominated. So I thought he looked a really good place bet, Roll Your Own. Likely 3 pegs here, hopefully 3 pegs at worse, because it gets a bit difficult when you're getting 4 back to pegs, but I thought he could run a place.
All right, so just recap those again for us, Ollie. Race 4, race 8 and race 9.
Race 4, Watch Me Wave. Race 8, 1x3 Cut and Run, and race 9, Roll Your Own a place.
Terrific. All right. Matt, you're going to start off in race number 3 today.
Yeah, we'll go in race number 3. I just thought this was an interesting race that you could play a few different horses in the event. I thought Switchblade each way was a play in the event. I thought would run a pretty strong race. So I was happy to be with Switchblade in this race on an each way basis, hopefully around that $4.50 mark. And I was going to save on a couple in the race. I thought I don't want to be a pirate, could run a place from a nice draw, and I thought Striking a Deal might be a further improver after its last start run, where it was a little bit unlucky. But yeah, it's a interesting little race, but I was happy to be with Switchblade each way in that event. And then moving on to races 5 and 8. Race 5, I thought it was a race for Kinsabi each way. This horse is one that Ollie's mentioned before, and it's got a good turn of foot, and I think wherever he sits in the run here, I just think he gets home better at Pinjarra. So if they don't do a drop of work with him, I expect him to be running home really well. I think I Need a Drink will lead, so I could open it up to Swooper's chance late. And I thought Kinsabi, after beating I Need a Drink last start, is going up a better price. So I'm happy to be with Kinsabi in that race each way. And in race number 8, Blaze On. I just really like Blaze On, $2.50. I think he can run to the lead here. I hope he can run to the lead here. If he doesn't lead, I'm not all that concerned. I think he'll still get a good run. But I thought Blaze On was really hard to beat in race number 8, number 4. So those were my 3 for today at Pinjarra.
All right, so that is Switchblade on the each way basis. I don't want to be a pirate and Striking a Deal on the place basis there in that third race for Matt. Kinsabi race 5 with an each way play, and then Blaze On the best of the day for Matt. All right, so to Gloucester Park tomorrow night, and it was quite a profitable night last week. Obviously, Our Lady Jen, Matt, you were very keen on Our Lady Jen, very much a heavy place basis, but able to get the job done early on in the night. So we'll let you start tomorrow night there if we can. Obviously, you're going to be playing early.
Yeah, look, I really like the meeting tomorrow, so I'd say when the prices come out, it will definitely determine a bit more, but it's I'm going to start in the first 2 races where I like them, and that's races 1 and 2. So I think Sister Cherie will be winning tomorrow. I thought the One American Monarch could take the cover. Sister Cherie should get the job done, just depending on what price she is. But she should be winning race number 1. And race number 2, I thought Mr. Chip would bounce, have a go Joe early, get to the top, and from there, Mr. Chip. He was disappointing last start, but he's had a little break coming into this. And if he returns anywhere near his best, I think he'll use that gate speed, lead and win. So race 2, number 3, Mr. Chip. Those were my 2 plays. But yeah, I'd say tune into the Sports Daily tomorrow, because once we sort of get an understanding of what the prices are going to be, there is about 5 or 6 I like tomorrow. So hopefully the prices will be okay. All
right, we'll have a good look at that tomorrow morning. So Sister Cherie and Mr. Chip there for Matt. A little early snapshot of Gloucester Park tomorrow night. Now, Ollie, you're going towards the middle part of the program for a couple of yours.
Starting in race 5 here, Instigator moved up last start at Narrogin like he'd win by 5 lengths, I thought, and just maybe lost concentration once he got clear and couldn't see any other horses. Nabbed late by Magic Bay. Obviously would have been tough if he took the shorts there, but was first up from a spell. Should be better for that effort. I think he draws absolutely ideally in gate 2. No back row, so Jocelyn has plenty of options here. I think he's a really nice horse going forward. Has a great turn of foot and is quite versatile. So I think he's worth forgiving for that first up value, you could say. And then in race 6, Catch the Red Eye. Thought was an eye-catching run last start when looming outside of the very short price favourite, Our Lady Jen. She was first up for Chris Folk, whose team seems to be going really well at the moment. I thought Sport looked the likely leader in the race, so I'm not sure she's a horse that really puts them away, sort of just keeps a short margin there, and I think she's vulnerable in this race. So I thought the turn of foot that Catch the Red Eye sustained last start, I think she can go really close, despite having a really awkward draw in this race. So if she's each way odds, I'd love to play her each way.
All right, so that is for Ollie there tomorrow night. Instigator, Catch the Red Eye, race 5 and race 6, along with Matt, race 1 and race 2, Sister Cherie, and also Mr. Chips. So that is a little look at what we've got coming up over the next few days. Of course, Ollie, you'll be a part of Talking Trots on Thursday evening. That will be up and going, that podcast. So looking forward to hearing what you've got to say in the build-up to this weekend's harness racing as well.
Looking forward to hopefully I tip a few more winners this week.
All right, I'm sure you will. All the best. We'll catch up with you again in a fortnight. No often pacing next week with the public holiday.
Thanks, Tim.
There is Ollie Cownie, and Matt, we'll have you there on the Trots WA X page as always. It'll be essential viewing and listening as well to what all of the participants have got to say in the build-up to each of the 9 races today, and then again tomorrow night as well.
Yeah, exactly right. Looking forward to the meeting, and we'll just follow along. There'll be plenty of interviews to have a listen to, and hopefully some good lead-ins.
And like you touched on as well, obviously the Sports Daily tomorrow morning to get your updated thoughts on Gloucester Park. If you're keen on the meeting at this stage, hopefully those confidence levels just grow even further. And then again on Friday morning, the Retrovision Gloucester Park preview. So all the best today, Matt.
Looking forward to it.
There is Matt Young and Ollie Cownie with their look at what's coming up over the next couple of days here in the West. Stay tuned. We've got Michael Young. He'll be up next.
They are Off and Pacing on Tab Radio, Racing and Sport.
It is great to have your company on this Monday morning. Great now to have the company of Michael Young, a couple of key players over the next few days, and just an early look towards Friday night. Plenty in the noms, so we'll see what it does look like for him for the remainder of the week as well. Good morning to you, Michael.
Yeah, morning, Tim. How are you?
Going very well. First things first on the football front. We know you're coaching this year. How's things looking there?
We're a bit up and down. We've dropped a couple of games that we shouldn't have, and but we had a nice 10-goal win on the weekend, so hopefully we're on the right track now.
All right, good. Just finding your feet early doors in the season now. Speaking of finding the feet, Penny Black we'll get to see for the first time here in the West under race conditions today. Of course, we have seen Penny Black trial at Byford recently. How has this girl settled into life under your care?
Yeah, pretty well. Had a few little issues with her along the way. Was really happy with her a couple of weeks before the trial, and then had a few little things go wrong leading into it, and ended up not being too happy with the way she trialled. So she just did a few things wrong under more race speed. So took her out to seniors for a couple of track runs after that, and juniors sat behind her, and we tweaked a few little things with her, and now we're pretty happy with her and happy with the way she's going.
Okay, what sort of a horse did you lay eyes on for the first time in her? She's a strong mare. She had pretty reasonable form around the better ones in New Zealand, obviously racing in the Oaks and such. So we wanted a nice low-class mare for racing over here, and she fits in pretty well. She's a big girl, and she's pretty strong. She's got a big motor, so I'm really happy with her going into today. She worked with Montana DJ on Friday, and she handled in quite nicely, and
he trialled really good on Sunday, so that gives me a bit more confidence too.
Yeah, and we'll touch on him in just a moment. And you touch on that New Zealand Oaks form. Well, we've already seen what it looks like over here in the West, of course. So from barrier number 3, with what you're saying, are you expecting that she should be going down there and looking after matters today?
Yeah, I'd expect her to. I think she's on her way to bigger and better things than country racing, so I would hope, all things being equal, that she'd get the job done today. So she's a pretty casual customer, so I don't think it's going to be overly impressive either way of how she does it, but I expect her to get the job done.
And just on those bigger and better things, does that look like end of the year taking on some of the better mares in the state?
Yeah, that'd be the plan. She's definitely got the ability for it. Just whether or not it comes up a bit quick for her. I think she's only had 5 or 6 lifetime starts. So when you compare that to like her age, it doesn't really line up. She's very inexperienced. She doesn't really know what racing's all about yet. So yeah, there's still a lot of learning to do, and it might just come up a bit quick this year. But I would expect her to be featuring in them throughout her lifetime at some stage.
All right, now you touched on Montana DJ there, that she was able to handle Montana DJ relatively well at track work. So let's talk through Montana DJ, who we got to see yesterday have a hit out at Byford. You must have been happy with what you got there.
Yeah, I was this week. So I took him last week, and I'd been telling all the owners how good he was and that he was a really nice horse, et cetera, et cetera. And then he went to trials last week and he wouldn't go a yard, so that was pretty disappointing. Put a hood on him this week, and completely different horse. Sat in the breeze and dealt with him really easily.
Certainly did, and the fact that you were in and around some nice enough horses, some consistent performers there yesterday as well, that must give you a little bit of heart for when it does come to race time, potentially this Friday night?
Yeah, it will be this Friday. Yep. Yeah, it was nice that Regatta Mac was an added extra into there, because obviously he's a nice horse. So it was nice to get a kind of a gauge on where we're at lining up with something like that. So that was pretty good. And yeah, this Friday, hopefully in the stand this Friday, and then we'll push on to the York Cup Sunday week.
Okay. And then, again, in terms of what it looks like long-term for Montana DJ, you've got high hopes, like you spoke about with the owners there, that we can see Montana DJ playing a part in some really good races going forward?
Yeah, I think so. That he gives a really, really good feel at home. He's obviously, he was one of the better juveniles in New Zealand, and he comes over here on a really low mark. So he's got some races to work through before he's got to see any of the good ones here. So what he shows me at home, I think he'll progress through.
We're having a chat here to Michael Young on, off and pacing. We'll get to tomorrow night in just a moment, but just on the nominations on Friday night, I saw Beat City back in your care after a little stint over east. So how long's he been back here in the West?
Yeah, he's been back a while. He had a spell, and now he's back and ready to go. So, yeah, pretty happy with him. He's obviously getting on a bit in age, so this will probably be his last hurrah. But, yeah, happy to have him back.
And have you got a few, just looking at the noms there for Friday night, a few nominated? Have you got a few of the reinforcements that are on the way?
Yeah, so we're working 28 at the moment, so... yeah, we got down to about 15 at one stage, and there wasn't many racing. So, yeah, the team's boosted back up. They've all come back in. A couple of new ones have joined. So should be an exciting couple of months for us coming up.
All right, good to hear. Now, just before we do let you go, so you've got a couple of key chances there tomorrow night at Gloucester Park. Now, we just heard from Matt a few moments ago. He was keen on Mr. Chip in race number 2, where you've got Have a Go Joe clearly drawn barrier number 1 and is a big part of this race from the draw. What's the confidence levels going into this race with Have a Go Joe after a couple of starts in your care now?
Yeah, he's been very disappointing, actually. He works well at home, hasn't had the best of luck. He pulled up not well after his first run. I thought he'd win. Then his second run, he didn't really get any luck. Was 3 wide early, then back to last, but didn't didn't go really as well as I'd expect him to that night either. So, he's drawing the pole tomorrow night. He's got good gate speed. We'll try and use it. He's very hard to get past on the track in front, so we'll just try and give him his chance again.
All right, so that's in race number 2, and then Eva's Image, the last of yours that will run through this morning in the Trotters events at the back end of the night. Is there a night coming for Eva's Image at some point?
Yeah, I think so. She's going really well. She was probably going to play a part last start when she copped a check, but I thought she still went okay. Her work since has been really good. So, tricky race, the Trotters stands, but I think she'll run a good race. It's just she seems to run a lot more places than wins, so probably lock her in for a place first and hope she goes one better.
Work back from there. All right, well, good luck over the next 24, 48 hours and towards Friday night. Looking forward to seeing a few of these newcomers to your stable, not only today, but as I said, on Friday night as well.
No worries. Thanks for having me on, Tim.
There is Michael Young with us, rounding out off and pacing for this morning. Now, we will not be on next week. The program will not be on next week. That will be due to the public holiday, and clearly public holiday racing that will take centre stage on the day, but we'll be back again in 2 weeks' time. So hopefully you're able to enjoy all of the action that comes up over the next few weeks, and many winners to everyone that is going to be playing a big part at those meetings. We'll take a very short break here on Tab Radio. Leah Ernest is here and ready to take you through the first part of race day. Thanks for your company this morning on Off and Pacing.